Ang isa sa pinaka na-appreciate ko na process na dinaanan naming lahat sa proyektong ito is the process of audition. Kasi sa pag-audition, you make sure that the right people get the roles. Even dun sa mga bit players, in-audition nilang lahat. Which is why, pagdating doon sa mismong shooting, you're confident that kung pumasa sa audition, kaya gawin yung trabaho. Something na, unlike dito sa atin, na syempre, parang doon mo pa malala, yung casting, iba yung casting natin eh. Usually, nauuna yung mga artista kaysa doon sa material mismo. At isa pa siguro sa mga bagay na pick up, as far as I'm concerned din, yung tipong pagtrabaho, walang ungguyan na nangyayari. There are pros and cons here, kasi, like for example, sila kasi, pag nagtatrabaho sila, gusto nila talagang walang nagsasalita, tahimik lahat, nakafocus. Pero ang nakita ko naman na edge din naman natin, minsan, yung ginagawa nating pagsasaya habang nasa set, nakakatulong din yon para pagpagod ka na. So in other words, both sides din eh. Kasi there was one time si Christian parang medyo naaano siya pagka may ingay na nagaganap. Pero towards yung the middle of the shoot hanggang sa pa-ending, nakikita ko nakikipag-ungguyan na rin siya kung minsan. So in other words, may give and take din ako nakita doon sa Filipino at saka doon sa Hollywood style.
Okay.
Okay. Nakakatuwa na may pagdating mo doon. Actually, when I was there, I think I still had a few days before my first taping day, shooting day, and I had 4 days of script na 4 episodes pala. I mean, that's what I mean. 4 episodes, which is many days, no? And so I was able to read all 4 episodes before my first day, and I had a few days to memorize my lines and try to say them in so many different ways while waiting in my room. In other words, there was a lot of time to read, think, and analyze and see what are the possible ways that I could do what, so that I have a lot of attacks probably with me come shooting day, so that I'll be ready for the director to and be able to give him what he wants. So that's I appreciated that very much when you have a script, the script given to you ahead, and then there were just a few revisions that came later on. Hindi yung sobrang napaka-major revision na mamamatay tapos di pala namatay. Yung ganon, hindi naman ganon. Pero mga revisions lang with lines, just a few tweaks here and there. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
Salamat po.
All right, maraming salamat po.
Feeling ko po yung Almost Paradise is very different because it's medyo matagal-tagal na din po tayong walang action comedy. And I think that's something like very fresh these days po, because we focus with Filipino audiences. We like our drama, we like stories about family. But the thing with Almost Paradise, the themes are very universal. The genres are maraming nakaloob na genres, no? May comedy, may action, may drama. It's about family, it's about community. So it speaks also to a wider audience, I would say.
Feeling ko yung pagka-Pilipino, yung the since sinut siya in Cebu, yung parang nagkaroon ng ibang, for the foreign audience siguro, lalo na sa US, to see us a different itsura ng Pilipinas, kasi you can see the beach and ganun. It's not much of what they're used to seeing. I mean, the image of poverty and everything na parang ganon. Tapos also the flavor ng paano gumawa ng, yun nga, yung humor siguro ng Filipino na gano'n, na parang, feeling ko hindi siya masyadong different doon sa mga like suburban parts ng US, which is the main audience nung Electric Entertain. Parang nakita ko sa mga comments kasi like the fans of Alex Walker, or I mean of Christian Kane, parang nagko-comment sila, they like it. So parang they appreciate the humor and how it's done and where it's shot, parang ganyan.
Yeah, well, I've dabbled in a few of them, lalo na Western boxing, So, pero pagdating din sa mga choreo and stunt scenes and fight scenes sa Almost Paradise, I had to relearn, start from scratch, because it has to adapt to what's called for in the scene. Diba? I mean, you don't just fight there. You have to fight knowing where the camera is. You have to fight knowing not to hit your scene partners or your stunt partners. And I just want to give a shout out to the stunt guys and the fighters in Almost Paradise. I mean, believe ako sa kanila. They really knew what they were doing at hindi sila takot patamaan. Minsan iba sa kanila tamaan ako dalawa actually nag-sorry na lang ako, pero sabi niya, wala yun, sir, okay lang. Pero may tama talaga, it was accidental. But that just comes from the heat of the moment, and what are you gonna do? It happens with every sort of fight scene like that. So, yun lang.
Nakaabang daw sila sa labas ng bahay niyo, Sir Art? I'm just kidding.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. The most favorite experience for the whole shooting. That's wow. I guess just meeting everybody, the whole crew, and just the experience. Because it's true. The Filipinos really do have this whole communal, like, family vibe, and I just really came out of this show with more family. And I think just meeting every one of these talented people is just definitely my favorite part about the whole show.
That's what you call kapamilya. Andito kami para sa iyo.
Yeah.
Kapamilya forever.
Actually, before working on Almost Paradise, I didn't have any projects. I wasn't even thinking about being in the industry. So it was just something that was just a blessing in disguise. And
So this is
I
your
was
first
just
project, yeah, technically.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yes. And I came into this project knowing that I was working alongside these heavy hitters. So with Dean, and also working with the Filipino crew, I knew I was going to be working with the best of the best. So I really put my big girl pants on to try and make an impression. And I just had fun during this project along the way. So I'm very happy.
What about your upcoming projects? Did you accept, or did bigger project follow after Almost Paradise?
No, none just yet that I can actually speak about, but hopefully very, very soon.
All right, thank you, Miss Sam.
Thank
The
you.
second question of Miss Dinah Ventura is to Sir Art Acuña. His question is, you played numerous roles in your career. How would you compare this one from those characters? Or was this a role you really enjoyed doing?
Yes, I really enjoyed playing Ernesto Alamares because maraming facets of his personality that are actually similar to mine. So that's what an actor does. He looks at the page, he looks at the piece of paper in front of him. There's a role written out, there are lines written out, but there's no character there. The character is really him. How can he adapt himself into what he sees on the page? You blend that piece of paper along with who you are and the mechanics you have as a human being, and then you come up with something. And I have to admit, there was something very calm and I wouldn't say easy, but accessible in the role. So playing him was I didn't feel like I was playing him. I felt like it could be him right now talking to you. You know what I mean?
Is it something different from what you previously did in your movies or series?
They're all different from each other. You know, they all have differences, and I never really purposefully seek out what's similar or different. I just see it as something new. So I always start from step one, you know, and then you build from there. So as to, well, yeah, it's one of my most favorite characters I've ever played, definitely.
Thank you. Madami bro eh. Number one yung workflow, yung Western workflow of doing things. Kasi kumbaga, dito sa atin, we have our own system of shooting. Tapos sobrang, I was surprised on how professional the foreign actors were. I mean, pagdating nila sa set, super memorize na nila yung lines nila. You don't really have to read lines with them. I mean, sa script reading pa lang, supposedly reading, but they come in prepared and memorize na nila yung script. So, plus, I appreciated the whole process of it, na kumbaga everything is pre-approved before you shoot. So, ayun, actually, yung mga natutunan ko sa Almost Paradise, ina-apply ko na ngayon sa mga shoots ko dito sa Philippines. Like yung show and tell, which is very important na everything is pre-approved before you shoot. So, ang dami kong natutunan eh. And I think you really just have to be a sponge and absorb everything. Lahat ng positive na experience na nakuha mo doon. And syempre, iba din yung, at the start, it was very intimidating eh. Kasi di ba parang Hollywood level of production, tapos papasok ka doon. So yun, thankfully nairaos naman. So ayun, thank you. Salamat po, Direk Dan.
Well, definitely my time with Chief was my neighbor, one of the highlights. You know, Noni doesn't just give a coffee at 5 a.m. Brings a sandwich to go with it pa. So, wow, this guy is so freaking cool. And we also had nightcaps together after a shoot, and we didn't have to wake up too early. We have some whiskey, talk about our characters, talk world, you know? I mean, we talked about everything. So it's very, my fondest memories are very people-oriented, and my time with Chief Ocampo is definitely a highlight. I talk about that all the time. It was a lot of laughs, a lot of insight. And I've been a fan of Noni for a very long time. So, I mean, getting to know him more deeply as a person, and he became a friend of mine, it's special for me. You know, I salute you, Sir Noni. Rock and roll. So susunod.
Susunod ulit. Grabe.
I wish I had more time with my co-stars like them, no? Kaya lang kasi ang nangyari sa akin, I was a fly-in, fly-out. I had a fly-in, fly-out schedule because I had to do something here in Manila. So I didn't have that much time to bond with them off screen. Siguro ang pinaka-memorable sa akin is, isa sa pinakamahirap na eksena siguro nagawa ko is that scene in the hotel lobby. Remember when I had to talk to Christian, that episode about the golf thing with Uncle Danny and all that, wherein I had a two pages yung sequence na yon, and it was almost all my dialogue, and I had to be able to do that scene and and had to land yung sa mga pitong marks kumbaga. So ang dami in English pa man din yun. Plus, I had a lot of business to do. In other words, I had to think of so many things, and I was so nervous because ka-eksena ko nga ang Christian. So, syempre, nakakahiya, di ba? Pagka hindi mo masyadong makuha. So, for me, that was one of the most memorable scenes that I did. Plus, of course, short only, yung palipad-lipad sa eroplano, I remember one time may bagyo and we had to take the last flight out of Manila just to get to Cebu to shoot. And for me, winawasiwas kasi ere, but it was a fun and nakakatakot na experience. So there. Thank you.
Oh.
Oh, and the scene. Yeah, I no, I was laughing. Yeah, I'm laughing now. I can't even stop. It was just something Noni had said, because initially I think his line was supposed to be, what was it? I said book him, and then and then Chief Ocampo's line was, love to. There you go. And then instead, one scene, Noni decides to yell, "Love it!" And he just made this face, and I couldn't hold it in. It's just, yeah. It was a fun time. But I wasn't able to hold it in. I apologize, Hannah, for a couple good 5 minutes. but then we were able to carry on with the scene, thankfully. But Noni, I was laughing with you.
Just to be clear.
Okay,
Just to be clear.
I believe you.
Thank you for that question. That is really how they do it. That is the US series set up. You have a showrunner, Dean, as the head. Mark Roskid directed the first 2 episodes, and then every single episode will have a different director. They take turns in doing pre-production. So it's a more systematic way of doing it. Remember, this is episodic television. It's not the continuing kind of a series. So that's really how they do it. And we were thrilled also to know that it is a system that works, because the person who is assigned for episode 6 has been doing pre-prod from the time the directors of episode 2 and 3 are working. So they have a long time to prep. They have a long time to troubleshoot. And so to me, it's really a very efficient way to do it. So that is US episodic television. Yeah.
There's not a lot of difference because we really have a good talent pool of actors in the Philippines. The major difference is how they look with the rest of the major cast. Like for example, si Christian Kane. Height ni Christian Kane, babagay ba itong isang actor with his height? Things like that, or how they look at each other as a group, as in chemistry nila. So in terms of talent, I think we really have a great number of people na can do the parts, but it's really boils down to how they look and how they are preferred by the showrunner. For example, si Dean Devlin, he's the final approver ng casting. So and it's basically their preference then for the character.
Because I'm not very good speaking to a large group of people, but si Chief Ocampo likes to be that. But what we have in common, well, is that he is very principled. He likes to do things honestly. He's very honest, but it doesn't appear so. It seems like he wants to just gain yung popularity as the chief and get all the praise from others. But actually, he had high hopes and parang dreams for the police department of Mactan. So I think that's what makes his character charming, because sometimes it comes out funny when he tries to get attention. Yeah.